Hi, welcome to Wisecat. Okay, just got a short one for you today. We're actually going to talk about php.ini. Now, in a Moodle server such as this one behind me, you might find that upon a fresh install of a new server, you are limited to uploads of maximum 2 megabytes, which is really, really small. So if we want to up that limit, well, you have to edit the directives in the php.ini file. There are also a few other directives that you have to change, for example, max input vars and things like that. So finding the php.ini file is essential to being able to do pretty much anything with Moodle these days. So let's have a look at where we would find it. So going to the Moodle will actually tell you where it is, because there's a little trick in here, because there's a server information. If we go site administration server and then look at the PHP info, that gives us all the info about PHP. It actually runs there's actually inside of PHP, there's a function called PHP info, and it just invokes that and outputs there's a lot of information about all the different PHP modules that are enabled and everything like that. But what we're really interested in is right up the top. It's very easy to see. First of all, we want to check our PHP version, which is the big letters right up the top. So we know we're on 8.1 with this one. But below that, we've got the configuration file path. That's where the configuration file is. And the loaded configuration file is thus called php.ini inside that folder. So that's pretty easy to get to, right? So we can just copy this right here. And if I go to my terminal, again, I'll go cd there, and I'm there. Okay, so that's where it is. And if I ls in there, you can see that there's my php.ini right there. So I might go sudo nano php.ini to actually edit it, and here's my php.ini file. Right, if you're actually going for the upload, then there are two variables that you really want to have in place there. Right, max input vars actually needs to be set to 10,000. I've actually set that for this Moodle, it's set to 10,000 in a different location, so it's not actually here. But there's the commented out version that you might normally edit. If we go further down, further down, it's a ways down. It's actually in this data handling section is the first that we probably want to check out, because we want to do post max size, and we want to increase this. So on this server, I've got it set to 200 because I want the ability to upload files as big as 200 megabytes. Right, I think this is post max size is usually set to 8 megabytes by default. But anyway, that will limit how the size of files that you can upload. The next one is upload max file size as well. So you'd want to upload that one. That one I think is the one that actually restrains it all the way down to 2 megabytes. So that's the one that you want to change as well. Okay, but that's not the only php.ini file. And it's not the only one we have to worry about as well, because we're running PHP 8.1, but we also need to run the CLI for our cron, right? And so if we go down one directory, right, to the PHP 8.1, and if you ls in here, you'll see that I've actually got Apache installed in the server as well. CLI is there because PHP is run by CLI in order to run cron. So we also want to go cd CLI, and inside of here, right, it's not FPM anymore, but it's CLI, and that's the command line interface version. And inside of here, there's another copy of php.ini, and we're going to especially want to make sure that the max input vars are changed in that folder. So that cron works, and so that if you're running CLI administration via CLI, then it won't work unless you have that php.ini in there. The difference between CLI version and the FPM version is that the FPM version actually has a service attached to it. So for any of those changes in the php-fpm one, you also have to do sudo not apt systemctl restart php 8.1 service, FPM service. You'll have to run this command after you change anything in the FPM php.ini file. There's one more over here called Apache 2. Now, I'm going to show you what that one is, but for that to actually happen, at the moment, it seems like it's irrelevant, right? And it is irrelevant because at the moment, this server is running on Nginx, but I also have Apache installed, so I'm just going to go Apache. Yeah, for this video, I made an alias that basically types all of that for me, and now that is stopping the Nginx service and starting Apache 2 service there. And so now that's completed. Apache 2 should be running now. If I refresh this window, these should change. Now, the things that are going to change are server API, configuration file path, and the loaded configuration file. Let's see, can you guess what's actually going to change? Well, if you guessed that the FPM is going to change to Apache 2, you were right. Right, now Apache can use FPM. So sometimes that's going to be FPM. If you're using Apache, you really want to just look at the PHP info and find out which file is being loaded. But if you can see it here, you can grab it right here, and that's the file that you have to edit to make sure that the 2 megabyte limit is not on, yours, not held to that. Now, server API also changed because this Apache instance is not using FPM, it's using the Apache 2 handler, which refers to libmodphp, which, if we go in here, it's like if when you're installing it, you did an apt, let's see, apt install, let's see, well, I'm going to need a sudo on that. Sudo apt install lib, let's see, lib 26,000. Yeah, I'm not going to list those. Lib mod Apache 2. Where I think it's lib Apache 2 -mod -php. And if you installed one of your PHP versions, like your I would have installed this one here, the mod PHP 8.1. There's also 8.2 and 8.3. If you did that and then sudo a2n, so actually I'll just go through it. If you did this, it's going to say it's already installed because of course it is. I'm using it. But if you did that, then you're using the Apache handler. That's what that refers to in the server API. It's referring to that libmod Apache. Anyway, for that one, you've got this file here. That's what we're actually trying to edit. So we would have to, again, go out of the CLI folder, cd ... And of course in here, there's the Apache 2 folder right there. And that's the one that is listed right here. So it's telling you, Moodle will tell you where the PHP ini files are. Apache 2, and that's where you need to be. There's the PHP ini file. So sudo nano php.ini. And actually, I don't think I've actually made any of those changes in here. So on Apache, I would be limited to the resource limits. Yeah, so I haven't changed those. I usually change the memory limit, for example. I usually like to change that up to 256 megabytes. Not really necessary. But this 1000 here, actually, that has not been changed. So let's see. If I actually go to my environment, that should actually throw a message up. Hey, and look, there it is. PHP max input vars must be at least 5,000 because although, and that disappears. Okay, well, wait a minute. Without changing it, let's change back to Nginx, and it'll disappear, right? Because the FPM has that change already made. So if I go Nginx, yeah. All right, do that. That's changed. I refresh this window, and now see the whole thing about max input vars. It's gone. It's gone. I fixed it by using Nginx. No, it's not the Nginx it's the PHP for php.ini for FPM already has that change made in it. But if I actually just edit the php.ini here, come down to my max input vars, which is in the resource limits. If I just set that to 10,000, right? Now the Apache version is being changed over. So now if I go Apache, switch over to the Apache web server, and I refresh this again, and still no problems here. The max input vars problem has been solved. It's not a HTTPS, that's okay. That's because this is a local server, okay? It's just a local vagrant. Okay, so to recap, the TLDR is go into your server, in your site administration, go to server, check out your PHP info. You'll see exactly where the configuration file is stored and what the configuration file itself is called. So this loaded configuration file, that's the php.ini you want to change for that. However, one last thing to remember there is that, of course, we're going to also need to edit the CLI version so that cron runs properly, right? And not just cron, but update PHP or whatever other PHP scripts you might be running from the command line. They need to have their php.ini running properly as well. Okay, so that's it for today's video. Do me a favor, please, and subscribe. Smash that subscribe button. It is down there, isn't it? Or is it up there? I don't know where it is. I can't see it because I'm just recording this at the moment, and I'm not actually on YouTube. It'll be up. There's a subscribe button somewhere around here. Please click it. All right. Thanks. Okay, I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers. Bye. Oh, well, wait a minute. One more thing. Okay, so one more thing is, there is one more thing. If you are using Nginx. Okay, I'm going to go Nginx again. Go-Nginx. Because there is actually another set of settings called the pool settings that you might be concerned about. I'll probably do another video all about the PHP pool settings later because they are kind of important. But the long and the short of it is, okay, if we go into htop and filter by FPM, you can see right now I've got the php-fpm services running, and it's got 2 children. Okay, how does it know to have 2 children? What if I wanted 10 children or something? What file would I change? Well, you'd change the pool settings, right? Yes, it's like PHP, wait by the pool. The simple explanation of what PHP is, simple and also not entirely correct version is that PHP pool settings are like operators are standing by to take your call. So anyway, where do you find them? The configuration file is actually under PHP 8.1 cd fpm and /pool.d. That's where they're going to be. And there'll be just one file in here called www.conf that actually gonna need a sudo in there, and www.conf. This is your pool settings, and before in htop when I was talking about www, this is what it's talking about right here, the pool name. Right, so this is the pool directive. You can rename your pools if you want it to rename. You can also specify the user in the group, www data on Debian systems by default. And further down here, there's stuff about your PM max children, your PM start servers, spare servers, etc. So down here, start servers, this is how it knew to start up 2, right? To 2 operators standing by. But if I want that to be more than 2, let's say I want that to be 20. Yeah, okay, add a 0 here. Okay, this will actually break because the maximum number here is 5. So, well, if that's not bigger than 20, that'll break. That's got to be, let's say, 50. Minimum spare servers, 1. Well, that's probably good enough. Maximum spare servers is 3. Okay, that's also going to be a bit of a problem because if I have 20 servers started and I'm not allowed to have more than 3 at max, well, I'm going to want that one to be more anyway, because this number, PM start servers, has to be between these two numbers. Yeah, that deserves its own video. But anyway, you got yourself a little bonus today. Of course, you can save that, and once you've done that, you have to actually restart the php-fpm. Systemctl restart php 8.1 fpm, and that is how you change the pool settings. Okay, pool settings generally, if you get a message that says in your logs that says, you know, pool max settings or something, or if you get, you know, gateway timeouts and things like that start happening, that's a good place to look to see if you have problems with that. You can actually check the pool settings down here, I believe. Let's see, pool. No, not right there. But anyway, that's basically how you do PHP. And yeah, so just find it here, and those are the files that you typically want to edit. Okay, I'll probably do another one on php-fpm as the pool settings in more depth and more discussion, because it is actually a deep topic, sometime later on. Until then, smash that subscribe button. Smash it. And I'll see you next time. Cheers.